There are different denominations: United, Baptist, Presbyterian, Anglican. There are church classifications: fundamentalist, charismatic, seeker-sensitive. There are church models, cell churches, community churches, and the endless variety of church names. Church of the... I won't even go there. I hope I haven't left anyone out. How is someone supposed to tell the difference? How do you choose and find your place in this mixed bag of style, worship, and approach to God? Time to go back to the seminary, I guess.
I think the day of old-style denominationalism, where you're born into a denomination, your parents raise you up, and you make your decision, but you always remain part of that church, I think that's gone.
Leading the force of change, or at least asking some tough questions, is what's called the emerging church. Some call it a movement. Some call it a conversation. Regardless, the emerging church, well, continues to emerge, and it's hard to nail down. Proponents say that's the point.
I have people ask me so often, what do you think the church of the future will look like? And I just think there's only one answer to that question. It depends on us.
It's also a movement without a leader. But if it had one, it would be Brian McLaren. He started this emerging conversation a few years ago when he wrote his groundbreaking book, A New Kind of Christian.
A lot of things in my books get people really angry at me, and I think they just wish I wouldn't bring these things up. But I know there are thousands of people. If I don't bring these things up, there's still questions in their mind.
Questions like, why do we do what we do in the church? Is it tradition, or is it what Jesus really taught? Have we lost our way?
Do we have a church that has a mission, or do we have a mission that has a church? If the mission has a church, that puts things in a different perspective. In that way, everything we do to help people grow as followers of Christ is so that we're more fully equipping them for mission.
He says too many Christians have a narrow, safe view of God, one defined by denomination or tradition. It's time to look at the bigger picture, he says, and that's where the kingdom of God comes in.
So the kingdom is a life. It encompasses all of life. It's not just about what happens to you after you die, and it's not just about what happens to you in church, but it's about the way you conduct your business. It's about the way you buy and sell. It's about the way you relate to your family and your neighbors. It's about all of life.
The Bible is not a how book. It is not interested almost at all in answering how questions. It is interested in why questions.
It's a very postmodern concept, and in case you don't know what postmodernism is, I'll break it down. Confused? Don't worry. Donald Miller is one of the biggest voices in this emerging conversation. His books are bestsellers, and he seems to have hit a nerve.
Well, we're not changing theology, we're changing the way we communicate it. And in my opinion, we're changing it from a post-Enlightenment set of principles and communication techniques toward, you can consider it a postmodern technique or set of principles, and it's actually, strange as it is, it's a shift toward the biblical. So when Jesus is saying things like, eat my flesh and drink my blood, and you have to hate your mom and dad, you can have nothing to do with me, or when he's asked what is truth, he's saying, I am, those are very postmodern kinds of concepts.
It's the number one criticism I get as a writer and a communicator. Is people come up to you and say, you didn't tell us what to do. Well, if I told you what to do, you'd never wrestle with the question.
But is it just about asking questions, or is there something that the emerging church really believes in?
Emerging church, for instance, sees social justice, helping Africans, helping what's going on in South America, helping widows and orphans as a part of spiritual discipline. So it's prayer, fasting, social justice. I mean, these are linked together ideas. I obey God, I have a relationship with God, it manifests itself in helping the poor. And I think that is incredibly beautiful.
One way of expressing that beauty is through the arts.
I started a church in downtown Houston called Ecclesia. We have a coffee house, art gallery, music venue, recording studio.
It's a place that's set up for conversation, for people to come and be provoked by art and literature and music and story.
Christianity in many ways has become about those propositional facts, and we've lost the sense of story and really who we are. And so we tell that with words, but also with images and beauty and music and all these things that God created us to participate in.
Finding answers is what may start many on their quest for God. But he says some churches have used marketing and consumer models rather than relationships to respond to this search.
I think we're in a new day that we're saying, okay, this is not just a consumeristic version of Christianity. Christ isn't someone you consume. It's not a path to self-actualization. Christ actually is here to meet your great true needs.
As a barista in one of downtown Hamilton's hottest new cafes, Pernell Goodyear knows a thing or two about brewing a good cup of coffee. He spends nearly all his time here. In fact, some would joke this cafe is his church. Well, actually, it is. He's the pastor of Freeway, a new Salvation Army church plant.
We often say that we're probably more like the early church than we are like the modern church, in that the building of relationships, the place that the meal or hospitality plays with us, the loose, organic way that we network and build friendships, and that church becomes an everyday thing rather than a place I go to once a week.
And that means no agenda, just good coffee and company. It's what Pernell calls missional living.
I heard a few years ago someone say that the question churches need to ask is, if your church ceased to exist, would your neighborhood miss you? And sadly, I think there's a lot that may not be able to answer yes, they would. We want to be a community of people who are able to help revitalize, see urban renewal happen, and be part of allowing people to build healthy and be part of healthy community.
And the community here like what's brewing.
It's awesome. It's got a good atmosphere. It's laid back. You can just come here, relax, drink coffee, sit on a couch, and listen to some good tunes.
I was thrilled to find out that this was a church. I think this is an awesome idea. There's so many people that are searching for God, but they wouldn't set foot inside the door of a traditional church.
We've already got stories of people who have never darkened the door of a church, but in building relationship with them here through the cafe, they've allowed us sort of into their lives enough that we can actually speak truth into them. So really, we just feel like we're kind of joining Jesus in what he's already doing in this neighborhood.
Tomorrow, in our quest for the church, we go home. We're to House Church, a movement that's catching on in Canada.
I just got really tired of church busyness and realized I actually had been a creator of it.